Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
You know, one thing I think we all have in common, if you're honest with yourself, and you don't need to be honest with me or anybody else, but be honest with yourself, is that we all have those bad days. We all have those days where we feel like nothing's going right. I had one just the other day where it was like, oh my gosh, it's just everything technology related was just kind of blowing up in my face, and I won't get into all the details of it. But you just kind of go, you're down. And I just think in those moments, you can choose to be down or you can choose to take action. What I have found to be a way to help me is it's really reaching out to other people. Okay, I'm having a technology problem. Who are the technology people I know out there? I obviously have people who are IT people and my website people and other people who I know are kind of go-to people, and reach out and use my network, if you will, use relationships. My wife's another person to just kind of help me through these moments, whatever it is. And we all have different sorts of down. Sometimes they're personal, sometimes they're professional. You lose a client or don't get a client, lots of different things. And I continue to find that it's my network that really kind of rescues me, if you will. But the other thing I've come to learn is that down is a relative term, and that there are people, I have been down, and whenever you're down, you kind of feel this self-pity, like, oh, the whole world's conspiring against me. And then I hear other people's stories of being down. And to be honest, it makes me feel a little bad. It makes me feel like, well, you're just nothing but a big crybaby because, your little issue of losing your login password or something like that is really nothing compared to what other people have gone through and how other people have really pulled themselves up, and using other people to do it. So today I have on the program with me David Kuhn. David's journey is nothing short of inspiring. He's a person who has had it all, and we'll get into all the story here. He lost it all, and now he's reclaiming it back in a powerful way. And it's really been through a combination of mindset, a dedication to learning, and networking, what this whole program is about. And through that, David is rewriting his life story and redefining success on his own terms. So, David, welcome to the podcast.
Frank, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on the show. Never once thought I would be on the Frank Agin show, and it's a pleasure. It hasn't been an easy road. It's been a tough road, but how many good things come to us easy?
Yeah,
you have to work for it.
Well, and I mean, just before we get into I want to hear your story. I want everyone to hear your story. I've heard your story, but I've gotten to know you through AmSpirit Business Connections and a lot of your social posts, which I find are very inspiring. And when I only look at those social posts, it's like, man, this guy's got the world by the horns. He's got the mindset, and it's just like you're rolling, and you are. Tell the story.
Right. Okay. Wow. So, story. Let's just get to the nitty gritty, the deep parts in the short amount of time we have here. I grew up in Southern Ohio. I graduated from high school, started a family young, and I had things going well for me. I was working a lot. I had the perfect, in what a lot of people's eyes would be the perfect family, the perfect brand new home I built, the perfect job, coach the sports teams in the community. Very successful on the outside. On the inside, was drowning, and found out I had some health problems, and I had narcolepsy. And that was kind of the beginning of the downward spiral for me. And with the narcolepsy, it was a whole new area I had to discover. And I didn't do well with it. Jumping forwards. So having all of the issues with narcolepsy. And then unfortunately, life happens to people sometimes. And next thing I know is I'm going through a divorce. The next thing I know, I'm not that dad at night reading stories to his kids before they go to bed and saying their prayers. I'm living in a 1-bedroom apartment by myself. Communication is very limited with my wife and kids. I'm working a lot and still trying to manage narcolepsy, but now doing it all alone and really feeling isolated. Like there's nobody there but me, for me.
Excuse me, what's narcolepsy?
Narcolepsy, it's a neurological issue where you fall asleep. There's no, like somebody that doesn't have narcolepsy, you have 20,000 hypocretin brain cells that somebody with narcolepsy does not have. So basically what that does is regulate your sleep and wakefulness. So for you, when you wake up in the morning, it's basically like the door shuts and your body knows it's what time to be awake, and you go throughout your day. When you start getting tired, that door opens and you can go back into sleep state. For people like me with narcolepsy, we don't have that door. So anytime we can fall asleep, and it can come on from sudden emotions like laughter, anger, stress. All of this stuff can just literally put you asleep, and you can't fight it. The more you fight it, the more it hits harder.
Okay. Thank you.
So
Okay.
You're welcome. And so I was navigating this, and it's frustrating. With narcolepsy, they don't know what causes it. There's no so far. I mean, there's different medications you can take that helps. Some doesn't, but it's a navigational game. So I soon after being diagnosed with narcolepsy, I was put on a bunch of different medication, and I went from working 70 hours a week plus and doing all this stuff to now going on disability, not being able to work for 6 months. I was having sleep paralysis, the daytime sleepiness, hallucinations, cataplexies. I was having close to 60 cataplexies a day. So all of this, and then now I've gone through divorce. I'm living alone in an apartment, trying to do this all on my own. And I literally hit rock bottom. And I then ended up losing my job. So now I have all this already on top of me. Now I've lost my job. I still have child support to pay. I still have spousal support to pay. And it got to the point of where I felt like there was no way out. Was I reaching out to people for help? No. I was like a lot of men. We think we got this. We can handle it on our own. We don't need anybody else. It's our problem to figure out, we feel like. So I went at it alone. And the more in time, you just start hearing the little voices in your head. Oh, you're not worth it. You can't do this. People will be better off without you. All of this. And somebody that once had it all now found himself in Columbus on the corner of Nationwide Boulevard and High Street about 8:00 at night. I lived 2 hours from here at the time, but I'd planned to end my life. So I drove up here, parked in the parking garage, and I started journaling. And because I wanted, this is deep, but when they found the body, I wanted them to know what was behind that face, what the story was. I started journaling, and little did I know at that time what I was doing was actually preparing myself for the future. I didn't think I would be here, right, but I was preparing myself for the future. Somebody else had a different plan for me. So as I'm walking up, I'm high street journaling, really seeing some things in life that I hadn't seen before. And as far as like coming to realizations about things, finally about 2:00 in the morning, I got to the point where I was ready to end it. And I walked out into the middle of traffic. I was waiting for some cars to come, and I stepped out. And somehow I didn't get hit. Cars swerved around, horns were honking, the fingers were flying, and I'm still alive.
It wasn't your time.
It wasn't my time. But the thing I didn't plan for was not happening. So now I had a couple miles worth of street to walk back at 2:00 in the morning to my car. So I walked back to Nationwide and got in my car, and I realized I'd hit rock bottom. There's only one place from here, and that's up. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, was hitting rock bottom. So I really had to replan my life. What am I going to do? So the first thing I did is I drove back home to my parents' house that I hadn't seen for almost 10 years. And I show up at their house 5 o'clock in the morning, knocking on the door, and not knowing how they were going to react. My dad opens the door with open arms and he yells, my mom, Janice, get the coffee on, David's home. And so that was kind of like the beginning of my road back by incorporating other people into my life. And I ended up going back to school at 38. It was very humiliating, but it needed to be done because I knew I had to switch careers because I had narcolepsy. It's not going anywhere. I had to have a job that works with that. And removing stress is huge. So I decided to go back to school to be a massage therapist because I figured working in a massage room all day with low lights, soft music, people's happy to see you all day long, that seemed pretty stress-free. So I had to adjust my life to manage what I had. What I had isn't anything out of the ordinary that somebody else may have. They may have diabetes, they may have cancer. Everybody, we all have something. But are we going to continue down the road of thinking, well, we should be perfect and we're not? Or are we going to go down the road of realizing, hey, this is who I am. What adjustments can I make to be the best person I can be? So that's what I did. I went back to school at 38. My goal was to, once I got out, to work with the high state athletes. And shortly after graduating, I made a connection, again, networking. I made a connection with a gentleman that was an athletic trainer at Ohio State basketball. And through that connection, I was able to get in for an interview, and I became one of the therapists that worked on the athletes at the Ohio State University. And so that launched me into that networking area. And I just kept surrounding myself with people that I wanted to be like, people that was inspiring to me, stepping away from the negative things in life, including people. Sometimes you had to remove people from your life. And so that's what I did. And I just continued to build. I opened up my own business as a massage therapist. And the entire time, I mean, it wasn't like all of the bad things went away. I still have narcolepsy. I deal with that every day. I still have debt that I had to deal with. I still had all the stuff. It wasn't like magically went away. But if you can't change the situation, sometimes you have to change your mindset to the situation and realize that, number one, there's always somebody else out there has it worse off than you. Number two, that maybe when you're having your worst day and you're feeling down, maybe that's a day when you need to go offer help to somebody else or do something kind for somebody else. And that's going to bring you that joy to get you through that day. Before you long, your problems don't seem as big. So I just started surrounding myself with people like that. My goal then was, I remember one night sitting down by Scioto River overlooking the city of Columbus, and I actually did a little photo shoot down there, and a picture was taken of me sitting on my massage table, the city behind me, and I'm looking up at it. And I wanted to, in a sense, like take over Columbus as a massage therapist, this city where I tried to end it all. Now I want to come back and I want to give to that city. I want to do everything I can to help other people. And that's really what I started doing. I have a lot of social media posts out there, and I can say the things I say because I've been in the dark places, and it's not a bunch of fluff. It's real. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. And one of the things with the narcolepsy, when I discovered I had it, and I went on Facebook, first thing I did, started getting in all the narcolepsy groups, and it was all just negative information was coming out. Everybody, it was almost like people was fighting to see who has it the worst. Well, my problems are bigger than your problems. And I always said that if I could ever get well enough where I could help other people, I wanted to be that person for other people. It wasn't there for me. And so in 2015, I started a group called Narcolepsy Naturally, and it's basically a support group of positive reinforcement, and people come together, we talk, we share, and I've built that up to 3,500 people now that either have narcolepsy or friends or family with narcolepsy. And that's kind of my way of giving back to my community of people that has the issue that I have. And then with it building my business here in Columbus, it's called DK Motivations and Massage. Of course, it's a massage business. And I was fortunate enough to meet a lady, and she was in this company called AmSpirit, networking group called AmSpirit. And I had already joined with the local chamber. So I told her that, well, I'm going to spend my money here, maybe later on down the road. So about a year later, she came back to me, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I want to join that. And it wasn't just because of necessarily I wasn't getting referrals. There was no community built with what I was doing with the other groups. And the AmSpirit, it's the community was built. And that's why whatever type of networking group you're in, if you're not building community, you're not building friendships and relationships, it's not positive for you. You really have to have that. So yeah, I'm talking the entire time, Frank. What do you have for me?
No, that's great. I guess the question, one question I come up with or don't come up with, but I like to ask is, okay, you reached out to your parents, I get it, and that's should be a natural first reaction, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe not for everybody, but to me, it seems intuitive. At what point do you realize that relationships are the way? Because that's the theme I see running through this as you're kind of climbing this mountain. Okay, I need a relationship to get into Ohio State, dreaming and hoping about it's not going to do it. What point's like, okay, I just need to, I can't do it alone.
I'll be honest with you. When I was shortly before my divorce and everything really started crashing down, I was reading a book by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Successful.
I have 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. And
yes,
I don't know if I got it right, David, but it's close enough. We all know.
Yeah. And I started reading, and something really stood out to me. One of the habits was becoming interdependent. So we're taught, I think more so men are pushed that, you got to be independent. You got to do it all on your own. And while that can be good, because you're using yourself, your talents, you're pushing yourself, motivating. There's the other side of the dependent people. They can't do anything on their own. They're always needing somebody else to help them, and everything's somebody else's fault. But to become interdependent, that means you need to be dependent and then bring in others around you, your network, to help you achieve the things you want to achieve and just to grow in life. And it was really something that stood out to me. And it was at that point, it's like, wow, I've always done things on my own. I think there's something to this interdependent, is bringing others in around my side. And also with doing that, you open yourself up, not just to them, but their network of people. And it's amazing. I can tell you, just 2 or 3 days ago, a lady reached out to me because she wanted to know if I had anybody in my network of people that does promotions. I didn't know any directly. So I went to the AmSpirit website and I found somebody in there that does it. I connected those two. I didn't get any, what some people would think is me not getting anything out of it. Sure. It wasn't true. I got everything out of that moment where I was able to connect to people and help them. But then that person I reached out to ended up scheduling a session with me because she was looking for a massage therapist. So when you go into stuff like that with the right mind of helping others, that all comes back to you. But the networking is just huge.
Personal life. You're divorced, had kids. Are you remarried now?
I'm not remarried. Hope to be soon.
Okay.
I took a 14-year hiatus.
All right, that's okay.
was never going to do it again. I can't say bad things about my ex-wife. Her and I, we both got married right out of high school. I was 19, she was 20. We were kids, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. We were married for 19 years, but we have 4 amazing children. And but yeah, I have a great woman by my side. It took me many years to find her, but I found her.
Okay. Your kids, you connected with your kids, the relationship there, hopefully good?
Yeah, the relationships good. It could always be better.
Yeah, they're kids. I get it.
They're kids, and they're all young adults now, and it's one of those things where when they become adults, you can't drag them around with you everywhere you go because they're kids, and now they can make their own decisions. So my oldest son, he's getting married here in a couple months, and actually my other son, he's been married for a couple of years. My daughter, she have single daughter, and then my youngest daughter are getting married next December. So they're all doing well. 3 Ohio State grads and 1 Ohio University grad. Yeah,
sounds good. I'm sure they're very, very proud of you. They should be. Just maybe. Well, I think the whole journey is, but just the whole story. To me, it's really heartwarming. It would make a great movie. Let's put it that way. I think it would make a great movie. But that's just how my mind goes.
Well, Frank, that's in the works. I actually do have a trailer out.
Okay.
We're actually working on the movie. It's from the beginning to now and going on. It's the entire story of what I've gone through, and
it's networking out of the depths of despair. Let's shift gears here a little bit. Let's talk about your business, what you're going. We've heard about the rock bottom, and where's this headed? It's not like, okay, I'm out of the rock bottom. I'm, my head's above water. It's like you're trying to get out of the water. You're trying to climb the mountain. What does that mountain look like? And how can people help you?
Well, stepping back to what that mountain looks like. I have my business here in Columbus. I have a couple other things going on, but here a little over 2 years ago, I was able to experience the best 3 hours of my life and the worst 3 hours of my life. My father was passing away. So, and he had always been my hero. And, he had, after I came back and through this entire process of me building, he was always there to talk to about it and to listen. And so about 2 years ago, I get the call and went down, and he was passing away. I was in the hospital with him, and family all gathered around. And for 3 hours, I was literally holding his head, rubbing his hair, just talking to him. And of course, he couldn't talk back. He was at the end of his life, and it came to the point of where he had that death rasp, and it's kind of hard for me to talk about, but it's the hard things that need to be talked about. People don't need to bottle up. They need to talk about them because it's going to change somebody else's life. It's going to help somebody else. So that's why I'm really big on letting my story out. But as I'm holding there, him talking, he just kept fighting and kept fighting. He hadn't talked for 3 hours, and I just told him, I said, Dad, everybody's here around. We're watching you. You've done your job here. I heard every day of my life out of his mouth, I just can't wait to go to heaven. Every day he said it. Sometimes to the point of where I'm like, Dad, then just go. But that's what he was looking for. That's what he wanted. And so I told him, I said, you've been talking about this every day of your life since I've been born. I said, now's your time. I said, we're okay here. We're going to be all right. You've done everything that you needed to do. We're going to be okay, Dad. And in that moment, he raised up out of the bed, or sat up out of the bed. His eyes came wide open. He had this huge smile on his face. He looks up in the corner of the room. There's nothing there, but up in the ceiling, and he started crying. He goes, it's amazing. It's amazing. I can't believe it. It's amazing. And he laid back down in my arms, closed his eyes, and he was gone. Me personally, I know that he saw heaven. And it was like as if he got out of his car, which was his body, and he moved on, and the car was left in my arms. And I was able to walk away from that with not sadness. I mean, yeah, it's sadness because my father passed away, but I knew he was someplace else where he's always wanted to be. And I was able to experience that of him actually leaving this world, moving on. But also with that came, okay, now, Dave, your hero's gone. Who are you going to talk to? Who's going to be there to support you? So I really had to dive into my support system and my network of people. And I heard all this stuff, all the people talking about the legacy my father left behind and all this stuff. And it really got me thinking, okay, what am I going to leave behind when I pass away? What are people going to know me as? Are they going to know me as this guy that went through a lot and then he made it and then he died? Or is there going to be something he left behind for everybody else? So that's when I really started thinking deep into a business I wanted to create. And I created MBS, Massage and Business Solutions. And sometimes it's best for us to start right where we are instead of trying to create something new or trying to learn something new. Start where you're at because you're already the expert in that. So I was able to build a successful massage business. So I wanted to turn the massage industry around where other massage therapists can go to work for themselves. They don't get stuck working for somebody else. The massage industry, the average lifespan for massage therapists is only 3 to 7 years. So I've gathered my group and network of people to help me create a program for massage therapists. It's basically a business in a box. So they get this program with me, and it's online all across the United States. They're set up with an accountant, all the things they need to know about from accounting, and then they can hire that accountant. They're set up with marketing, and then they can hire that marketer. They don't have to do that. There's enough in the system that they can learn and do it on their own. But for those go-getters, it's going to be everything they need. But for the other people, they might want to just hire out, and it saves them the time of what took me 10 to 12 years to figure out. Now they have it up and running and they can go. And it's really cool because I was able to pull all of my experts. I don't have to be an expert in tax. I don't have to be an expert in marketing. I don't have to be an expert in location. I just have to find the people that are experts in that and gather them together and create this. So that's what I did. And because of my father passing away and seeing legacy he left, I realized I didn't have that legacy to leave to other people. So 50 years from now, they may not know who Dave Kuhn is, but I want these massage therapists to know what MBS is and how it's helping them. So that's what I've created. That's what I'm doing.
All right, people listening, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can probably 3 ways. Email is muscletherapypro@gmail.com. You can go on LinkedIn and look up David A. Kuhn. That's Kuhn. You can also look me up on Facebook under David A. Kuhn, or if you just go on Google and type in DK Motivations and Massage, you'll see me pop up everywhere.
Awesome. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Thank you, Frank, for giving me the opportunity.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.